Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So today we will be taking a look at the mass market Oracle deck. It is the Faeries Oracle by Brian Freud and text by Jessica Macbeth. So this is I think this was first published later on. We'll take a look. But this is a popular deck in the Tarot Tube community. I've seen it in a lot of top 10 mass market decks or top 10 Oracle decks. And I think that there's really a lot to learn about this deck that I also want to share with you. So we will be doing a flip through, a mini review of sorts. So I'll just be talking about the cards, the guidebook, how it shuffles and all that. And at the end, we will do a sample reading and read from the guidebook so that you would also have a sense of how it reads. So there will be timestamps in all of my videos, so you can just jump into the chapter that you want to see. If you just want to go into the flip through or the shuffle, then feel free to look at the description box below. Anyway, so this is what the box looks like of the Faeries Oracle. It is published by Atria Books. So it says here, bring the insight, wisdom, and joy of the fairies into your life. Sorry, the light is catching. Okay. Using the enchanted art of Brian Freud as your guide, enter into the wise and wonderful world of the fairies. The Faeries Oracle calls on sylphs, pans, gnomes, and of course fairies to lead you on a delightful journey of adventure, discovery, and enlightenment that will illuminate the future and heal the heart and soul. This beautifully designed divination set contains everything you will need to explore this mysterious realm, including 66 cards, so that's a good number, and a 208-page guidebook, which is actually the highlight of this deck, or of this set, and I'll show you later. It talks about who Brian Freud is, as well as Jessica Macbeth. Okay, so the box opens from the top. It's like a giant top box, which, as you know, isn't my favorite, and definitely I won't be keeping this deck in its box, and I'll show you why. So that's what it's just like a tuck box, a giant tuck box. And this has the most amazing guidebook, which we will talk about later. It is hardbound. But if you would see, when I opened my package, this was the state that it was in. So the packaging inside was already damaged and didn't do much to protect the cards, I think. So it's very flimsy, and I don't really want to put the cards back in this packaging, so I'll just put it in a pouch of some sort. So, okay, bye to that packaging. Let's take a look at the guidebook, and you'll see here, it is massive, and it is hardbound. The quality looks really amazing. I mean, it's like, look at it, it's like really, really good quality. And the price of this deck, but the guidebook makes the price of this deck worth it, in my opinion. So you have here some acknowledgements, a dedication, and here are the table of contents. So you have, for part 1, fairies and oracles, first step into the underworld, touching fairy, reading the cards and basic card spreads. Part 2 is where where Brian and Jessica talk about the actual fairies and describe the cards. Part 3 is going deeper, preparing for how to prepare for a reading for others and other fairy style readings, and of course some sources and steps to a good reading. So let's just browse through the book so you have an idea of how much information you can get here. So for part 1, fairies and oracles, first steps into the other world. Okay, and there's so much here that you can get into and dive into, and how you can connect with fairy, touching fairy. It's just so much information. And if you're really interested in working with fairy energy, I think this is a must-have in your collection. Okay, tells you how to read. It's a step-by-step guide. Yeah, and even talks about some ethics of reading. Basically, don't read for people who are not aware. So no, don't use divination or tarot or oracle readings to spy on others. We have some spreads here, reverse cards, how to predict the future, and we're just this much into the book, and there's already so much that we can learn. And this part 2 going to part 2. This is reading the fairy cards, so they introduce certain kinds of fairies, and this is already the card by card, like it starts with the singers of the round. So here are the cards. Each card has a thumbnail of the photo and like 2 or 3 pages of text for each. It's really an extensive guidebook. There's really a lot to get from here. Highly recommended. And even if you just want to read through all of these stories, all of these fairy energy archetypes, I think it's worth it, right? Okay, at the end, part 3 just tells you how to prepare for a reading, and reading for others. So much information. I mean, look at this page in comparison to my hand. Fairy style readings, again, more spreads, and yeah, all the way, and that goes up to the end, where you also get some recommended sources and steps to a good reading. So definitely the guidebook, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Really good resource. So let's put that to the side. Okay, and now let's talk about the cards. So these cards, there's 66 cards, right? But it's very, very thin. So I think you might have already guessed that the quality of this cardstock is quite flimsy. It's really quite thin, really thin. And you'll notice that my copy, I haven't even shuffled this, I haven't even used this, already has these dings and warping, and it is bowed when I got it. It is matte with a little bit of sheen. I'm not even going to tell you because I think you can already see the quality of this cardstock is not great. Really not great. I don't know if that was for all editions of this deck. Oh wait, let me see when it was first So this is a 2020 edition, but it was first, oh, the copyright is 1998. So this is a 2020 edition, but this is copyright 1998. So yeah, quite an old deck. And I don't know if it's just this edition, the 2020 edition. It's the version you can get from Amazon right now. But the cardstock is really flimsy. Really, I mean, I don't mind thin cardstock, but like this is one of the worst. And yeah, like I said, I haven't used it, but already you see this peeling on the edges. These are the backs. So I'm ranting, so I forgot how I usually do these videos. So these are the backs, and they are reversible. So for those who shuffle in reversals. Okay, and then let's just zoom in and take a look at all of the cards. All right, so the cards, the first card is like a blank page. It has a border. It looks like old parchment, and you'll see the text is written in this text that, or in this font, that for sure I will have trouble reading. But if you just focus on the art, it has some really powerful energetic cards in this deck. I live in the Philippines, and we also have our own version of fairies, Diwata, and then we have Duende or mga nuno sa punso, and these are the same, I believe, the same types of energy that that are depicted or mentioned in this guidebook. And honestly, when I was a kid, I was really, really scared of these creatures, of these beings, and even up to now, because you know they can be mischievous. There are two types. There's a good kind and the bad kind, and but now I just really want to learn about them, and I just couldn't resist picking up this deck because of my curiosity about all of these things. Now that I'm older, wiser, a little bit more open-minded, I grew up in with a very religious background, but now I'm a lot more open, and I'm a lot more and I'm a lot more open to the idea of definitely coexisting with these energies and these beings. And they have been helpful to me personally. And even though I can't attribute, or I can't scientifically prove that they are the ones, or they are part of the reason why I feel I have been very blessed, or that my house is protected and all of these things, I know deep down inside that these energies are helpful as well. So I do want to learn more about them. And I do just want to point out that I think in each country there's a version or a story of fairies, fae folk, and probably one of the things that would be most important is that you know how to respect them. You know, you don't stomp around trees, or here we even say tabi-tabi po, which is like, excuse me, I'm passing through, just so you don't step on them or hurt them, or something like that. And I think that is something that we just, you know, working with these energies, we always have to bear in mind that we stay respectful of the energies and these beings. And ultimately, I think that is just very, very important. If you're a practicing witch, even if you're not, I mean, I personally at this point don't identify as a witch, but I am dabbling in all of these things that might be considered like witchcraft, and working with energy, seeing energy, you know, working with these beings or studying more about them can also be seen as something like that. But I just really want to point out that if you're also interested, and I don't see anything wrong about learning more about them and delving deep into their history or what they are, what they can do, but as long as you approach it with respect. And that's what I usually say in my videos. And really, these cards, these images, I mean, I complain a lot about the card stock, but the art, wow. And you can see there's like different types. You have the usual fairy, then you have those gnome looking fairies, then you have those really like elemental looking beings, some cosmic looking beings, and I think there's really so much to learn. I have another deck called the Tarot of the She, and I love that deck. I haven't used it in a while, but I also modified it, and I think I already did a flip through of it, but it was a silent one. I didn't talk about it, but I probably will record myself again with my modified deck just so you see how it looks. And I think it deserves the spotlight because it's also another amazing deck, which I think has a lot of this Fae energy or raw Fae energy that interests me. And yeah, you see there's some images that are scary or not the typical fairy, you know. When you say fairy, you always think about this image, but there's a whole range, and there's also a diverse fairy kingdom. And I want to learn about it. I really do. There's a lot of things that I want to learn. And I'm just so glad to be living in the present, that we have access to all of these things, and we're a lot more open, I think, as a society. At least, I mean, here in the Philippines, I'm still I'm still like in the closet about my tarot practice and even my YouTube channel, but compared to before, I still feel that we are a lot more open to these ideas than we once were. Okay, so let me zoom out and let's see how this shuffles, and then we will pick a card to read. All right, so I zoomed out. So I already know this would riffle shuffle well enough because it is such a thin cardstock. I just don't know how sturdy it is, given that, you know, some pages are already peeling and folding and and bending, and you know, I'm hard on my cards given that I riffle shuffle everything. So I just hope it does last. But if the cards don't, then at least I have the book, which is a really well produced book. Alright. Okay, so shuffle. So it riffle shuffles well. I also don't really have a problem. Well, maybe I do have a problem. Okay, let's do that again. So since it's a little bit bendy, I do have a little bit of a problem when I hold it this way, because I also have to reach because of my relatively short hands. I forgot to show you how it looks size-wise. So here, picking up a tarot, it is like just a little bit taller and a little bit wider than a standard tarot size, but it is definitely not like the big Hay House, or definitely not like the Blue Angel oracles. So since it's a little bit bendy, I have to be careful when I do this, when I side shuffle. It also kind of sticks a bit. So this one seems a little bit better. Okay, and oops, okay, and then we will read for this card. Okay. What? He of the Fiery Sword? Okay, so I have bad eyesight, so sometimes text like that is difficult for me to read. So let us see if I'm right with my guess, and then we'll take a look at the guidebook. It is numbered though, so it's a little bit easier to find. So I'll zoom in and let's take a look at the guidebook. Okay, so I was right. So it is card number 4, He of the Fiery Sword. And there's a lot of text here, so let me just show you so that you can pause and take and read it, just so you know how this guidebook reads. Okay, so let me just leave it here on the screen for a bit so that you can pause and read. But I will also read the starter reading for you. Okay, so the presence of the Fiery Swords Master in a reading can indicate that there is a need for clear and focused will and determination to carry through on decisions, even if much effort is required. Or he can tell us that such will and strength is present in regard to the issues under consideration. We need to consider how he is expressing his will and strength, and how that expression may be enhanced or improved. It is this singer's energy that enables us to burst the bonds of an outgrown way of being and move on to the next level. He indicates that this is a time to take action based on a clear spiritual will. His presence indicates great strength and great potential for good. It also reminds us that if we call upon him, we will receive assistance. The presence of this card in a reading radiates strength and willpower to the cards around it. Well, that's really nice. And okay, so let's also read the reverse. Like all of the singers, this card does not have a reversed meaning, as such because he of the fiery sword is present in full measure throughout the universe on all levels. Reversal here speaks of an archetypal energy blocked or unaccepted by the querent or another involved in the issue. Look to the cards around it to see what may be causing this. When he of the fiery sword is reversed, the question we need to ask ourselves is, how may I free strength and will in my life and allow the vital force to flow through? So again, guidebook, really amazing. Card quality, not so much. Art style, I also really love it. Overall, I think I will enjoy working with this deck. Even though the cardstock or the cards are already a little bit looking or already look worn, even though they're practically brand new, maybe it just adds to the appeal. But yeah, I definitely want to read through this deck, probably something that I will read back to back whenever time permits, because my day job doesn't really give me a lot of time to do that. But this has been the flip through and mini review of the Faeries Oracle by Brian Freud and Jessica Macbeth. And if you found this helpful, please click on the like button and subscribe to my channel where I post videos like this at least once a week. See you again next time. Bye!